Hi, my name is Victor Cervantes. I am a student at Berklee College of Music online, and I am attempting at getting prior learning credit for jazz vocal, for R&B vocal, for popular singing, as well as pop and rock vocals. I have studied classical voice most of my life. I started in high school taking private lessons, and I went on to college where I majored in vocal performance as a young person. Have studied classical voice privately, as well as I have taken many master classes. In my paper, I already explained some awards that I was given as a classical singer. So what I know about the voice has a lot to do with bel canto and how to support your breath. I have been using this method for quite some time, breathing down into the body and breathing into the lower abdomen, and also I've learned some skill in breathing down and then up again, especially for performance. And the reason being is because there's just not enough time to just take a lower breath on stage when you're running from one end of the stage to the other. I have been a performing artist most of my life. As a young person in my 20s, I left school so that I could pursue it. As a Latin pop artist, I spent about a good 10 years attempting at a career in pop music, especially Latin pop music. I was a Christian artist for a while, and I opened for some amazing artists, and I did some touring as a Christian artist. But when I came out of the closet, I realized that that wasn't going to work for me. And so I decided to go into Latin pop, and I had a pretty successful career as a Latin pop artist. I toured most of the Southwest and some of Mexico, all the way to Mexico City. I did numerous opening acts, shows for big names like Pilar Montenegro, for MDO, for Jackie Velasquez, and I was on a Clear Channel tour with Shakira. And a lot of my pop vocals I learned from just being on stage and performing with other artists. I learned to use a microphone from other artists. I had to kind of do it, kind of learn by praxis, by practicing and listening. I did a lot of listening and performance. I did study some of Seth Riggs' workshops. I went to some vocal workshops, numerous ones, some online. Speech level, as many know, is very similar to classical voice. It's just explained differently. Has to do with using your resonators and using your articulators and using your breath to hit the note rather than reaching or hurting yourself in that way. The way I've applied all of this information as a performer and also as a vocal student is that I've taken classical voice and a combination of that, and I've been able to apply it as a voice teacher and performance teacher. So for the last 17 years in San Francisco, California, I have been a voice coach and voice instructor, and I've been very successful. I own a business here in San Francisco that has been quite successful. The pandemic did close us down, unfortunately, but we are still online, and so I'm grateful for my students. I've had many successful students who have come through my doors, and I've been lucky enough to be a mentor to them and to teach them. I have a student who has been on the touring company of Newsies, and I've had a student on American Idol, and I have had two very successful students, one that just graduated from Berklee and is wonderful. His name's Harry Egan. And I also have Zoe, who is a vocalist, and she loves jazz and bossa nova, and she is featured on the video that I sent. She is currently attending Berklee. I prepared them both for their voice auditions, and I was at them, and I played for them, and they are wonderful kids, and they're at Berklee, and actually they inspired me to go to Berklee. I went to a classical school, and I enjoyed it, but it was not for me. I wish I had the time, or I wish I could tell myself, my young self, to have gone to Berklee instead. I enjoy the contemporary vocal program, but when I went to school, there was no formal study that I knew of, especially. There was no formal contemporary voice programs. Now there's all kinds of programs, but I was a 90s kid, and I didn't get to experience that kind of program. All there was classical when I went to school. So that's how I've applied classical singing. I kind of have used classical voice and combined it with the performance experience that I've had as an artist. I was signed with a label very young, in my 20s, my early 20s, and I performed for many years as a Latin pop artist. So that is how I've developed it, and it's made me a very successful teacher, because unlike other teachers in the Bay Area who have gone to school and went straight to teaching, I lived it. I learned to audition. I was on 3 television shows, reality television shows, that I spoke of in my paper, and in those shows I was top 30 in those shows, and I got to participate, and I was a semi-finalist in a show called Tengo Talento, Mucho Talento, and that was a lot of fun. I've been on a Tagalog show, if you could believe it, and I was one of the participants on that show, and I got to be on international television, singing in Tagalog. My husband is Filipino, and there was an audition, and I took it, and it was really fun, and so I got to meet the stars of the Philippines, and I was even on a big billboard in the Philippines. So that was kind of fun. So I've gotten to experience a lot of things as a performer, and even more so as a teacher. I love what I do, and I'm grateful for my work, and this has become my life's work to do all these things. And in my study, I sing in many different styles. I had to learn these styles. I had to learn about syncopation. I had to learn about blues notes and singing the pentatonic scale. And as a performing artist, it was something that was important because of vocal runs and melismas. And now it's made me a very strong teacher, because I am able to teach others how to do that in a safe way, and I'm also able to help them find their own voice. A lot of classical voice or classical teachers shape, or it can only be one way, and you can't do that with pop singing. You have to let them have their own voice and their own shape, and I like to do that. That's something I really like to do. So we find their true voice, and we play with pronunciation, and we loosen things up, because that's what you do in pop music. And in jazz too, you kind of soften things up, less vibrato. So as you'll see, I have many different genres that I sing in, and I hope you enjoy my performances of all these genres of music. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.